Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to Decidedly Vanilla. How are you guys doing? Hope you're all very well. Today's episode of Decidedly Vanilla is brought to you by jet lag. Well, not exactly jet lag, because jet lag, I was reading up about this actually because I had to check the definition because I wasn't sure if jet lag was meant to be just that you're really tired or that you still feel like you're in a different time zone. And it's the time zone thing, as it turns out, which hasn't really affected me all that much. So for those of you guys who are unaware, I just came back from a trip to California seeing my wife's family, and I was expecting to be really jet lagged, but this is the following day. This is the day after our flight. This is the day after we landed in the UK and got back home, and I am feeling pretty fresh, let me tell you. I'm actually not still on California time. I'm just a little tired. And that's rare for me. That's actually quite rare. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about my trip today, and we're going to take care of some business here around the jungle. And thank you guys so much for your support on the episodes while I was away, in which we built the Emerald Obelisk over there. And yeah, more on this story in just a second. Let me get through to the temple and I will show you guys what I mean. It is good to be back, though. Let me tell you that. It is good to be back. It has been a while since I played some PC Minecraft, and I am ready to get involved with what's happening around here. The first item on the agenda being this. They figured I needed a cocoa obelisk. I got pranked, ladies and gents. I got pranked by MythicalSausage and Awoogah. And the majority of the prank is up there. They built me a cocoa obelisk because I guess brown was a color they figured wasn't taken already. Let me get up here. There we go. Zloy was having a bit of trouble in his video getting on the what I'm referring to now as the parrot trampoline, simply because of how much this happened during the course of his video. Occasionally the parrots also end up landing in the fires, which is slightly unfortunate to say the least. But you know what? I'm liking them, except when they do this. except when I just fall through the floor and I have to replace all of the slime blocks and stuff. My inventory is looking very much like it was when I built the Emerald Beacon. I still have the shulker box in there with all of the lime stuff. Took a quick trip over to Sea Haven to pick up some more rockets, and yeah, I wanted to get a good aerial shot of this thing. So let's have a quick fly around and I'll show you what they've done, because my obelisks look like this, kind of very clean lines and interesting geometric designs, very much inspired, as people have pointed out in the comments, by Ark Survival Evolved. Theirs is a slightly more organic affair, and you would not be remiss in pointing out that it basically looks like a giant floating turd, which is, let's face it, not the first time I have found a turd on my stuff over here in the jungle. We've had a few of them. So yeah, this is almost a variation on that theme, but I like the fact that they've gone to the trouble of actually providing me with a fresh beacon. Should be a little bit careful about using the word fresh around this thing, but there you go. And okay, we managed to get back into the air again. That's good. I happened to spot that there was something in here as well. They seem to have left me a little present, a diamond block. Thank you guys so much for that. I always appreciate when somebody leaves a prank, but they also leave a gift of sorts. And in fact, this entire thing is a gift, because this is made out of all kinds of lovely blocks, which when I tear this down, which sad to say I am going to have to tear it down, I plan to repurpose for what we're going to do in today's episode. So yeah, the reaction to this prank was not necessarily one that I could do on camera, because while I was over in California, I had the good fortune to visit some family over there, and I was showing them around. I was giving them a bit of a tour of the DV stuff and just kind of showing them some stuff I built, because I was hanging out with my wife's family. My wife is from California, and we went over to visit her family for her grandmother's 90th birthday. So that's what we were doing over in the States. We were kind of having a big old family gathering in the south of California. Normally they live in the Bay Area, which is kind of as close to mid-California as you can get. But there is a bit of a north-south thing going on in California, as I'm sure some of you guys are aware. So the SoCal people and the NorCal people are occasionally at odds. But we went down to visit them just kind of outside of LA. They live I'm trying to think exactly where it is now, but yeah, it's somewhere in the region of LA, and it's the first time I'd ever been down that way, and it is crazy down there, let me tell you. For a start, the landscape is so different to how things are in the UK. In the UK, I'm used to like gentle rolling hills, and in California, the hills are all around these valleys. And it's really dramatic. Like, the scenery there is so different to what you get in the UK. So it was really interesting for me just driving down there in the first place and having all of this new stuff to look at. But yeah, when we got down there, we were hanging out with my wife's family, with her cousins, and a couple of them are younger and they play Minecraft. Shout out to Nate and Lucas, who some of whom may be watching the video. And yeah, we hung out for a little while, and I think Nate was just happy to have somebody to talk about Minecraft with, and I logged in and I wanted to show them around some of the stuff I'd built on DV. And so naturally I logged in at the temple because that's where I logged out, and I found this prank waiting for me there. So I didn't really get to react to this at the time on my first instance of seeing it, but I'm still pretty impressed by the effort that went into this. This was pretty solid effort. And again, I should be slightly worried about using the word solid. But yes, we've got a ton of stained clay and wood that we can use here. And what I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to start making some land paths, some ground paths around the jungle. Is that another llama? The llamas have certainly been sneaking around the place. And if they hadn't left a helpful sign to say who left this prank, I might begin to suspect some of the llamas had done it. But yeah, we're going to turn these into walking paths, because I've kind of had enough of flying around this place. Like, flying is definitely the easiest way to get around, but I'm a little bit tired of flying right now, especially considering I've just been on a plane for something like 11 hours. So yeah, I figure we may as well make some paths around the jungle, tie everything together a little bit is the plan. And even these mushroom blocks are probably going to be quite useful for that. Do I have Silk Touch on this? I do. Okay, we can get rid of the mushroom blocks like that. So yeah, we're going to take down this whole thing. We're going to get started on a few paths around here, connecting the shipwreck to the zombie spawner, probably connect that to the little villager settlement over there, and I should probably check in on those guys to see if any of them have been attacked by zombies, because I was not entirely sure if I'd protected them well enough at the last count, so we will see. But I'm going to get the rest of this down, and then we'll start on the paths, and I will tell you guys a little bit more about my trip. So now we've cleared up all of that, let's take inventory. We've got a fair bit of mushroom, we've got some dark oak, some spruce, a bit of jungle wood, we've got planks of all of those as well, some brown terracotta, some coarse dirt. There was dirt in there that I changed out for coarse dirt so that we can actually keep it on the paths around here. A little bit of podzol that Page of Maces dropped off with me a little while ago. I think we should be okay with this. And so what I want to do is start off here at the shipwreck and work on some of these paths around here, because this path has been functional for a while, but it ain't pretty. It's all boxy and square. There's not really, this doesn't look like a natural kind of tunnel or cave or anything like that. It looks like something that's just been mined out and left as it is. So I kind of want to do some stuff around here. I want to clear up some of the leaves around here, and these parrots are going to be a bit of an annoyance if I don't make them all sit down. So yeah, let's clear out some of the leaves around here. I'll probably keep some of them here and there because they're kind of nice to have around already. They're kind of part of the natural landscape, and I don't want to clear up all these leaves, but then picking up all the leaves as we go is probably going to be quite nice, just so we can use them to redecorate later. So yeah, I've been in California for a couple of weeks, and it was really nice to take a break from recording videos, playing Minecraft, that kind of thing. I've actually been playing a lot of Terraria, just casually. It's something I tend to pick up a little bit when I'm on holiday, and I have picked up some really useful stuff in that. I started a brand new world, and I got through to hard mode basically just before we left. So I've actually been using some of the weapons and stuff that I don't normally use, just kind of picking up little tips. And obviously where me and the Cirque are at with our current series is way ahead of where I am with my own personal playthrough of Terraria. But I've been doing a little bit more building. I've kind of been taking it easy in that version, and it's going well. I think it's kind of nice, and Terraria is a game that I always want to come back to, but I never know if it's going to be particularly popular. The game has kind of had its heyday as far as YouTube is concerned, so I'm not sure if I'm going to bring that stuff to the channel at any point, but it might be kind of nice to dip in and out of Terraria here and there. And Core is on the server with me right now. He recently got pushed off of a pushed down an elevator shaft by a zombie. He sent the lift to the bottom floor and he's still on the top. Oh yes, that will that'll do it. That'll be a bit of a problem. So yeah, I want to tunnel this out a little bit more, just kind of widen it a little bit, make the path kind of nicer, because right now it's kind of narrow and closed in. Feels a little bit claustrophobic when we go through here. So we'll make a long, low, wide tunnel. I think is probably going to be a good way to do it. Let's clear out some of the stone from the bottom of here, mix in some of the dirt that people would just track in through the tunnel, because even if the floor is going to be made of stone, then there's definitely going to be dirt and stuff coming through here on people's feet and stuff. You know, the jungle is quite a lush environment, so you'd expect that kind of thing to track in with you. And maybe if we put the mossy cobblestone around the cave walls, then we can have plants growing in from the side, that kind of thing. We'll tinker with this a little bit as we go and make sure it looks right. Of course, one of the other things we can do to make this path look a little bit more well-trodden is introduce some of the grass path blocks, and those fit in pretty well here. I think those are going to be pretty good as an addition, so I'll throw some of those here and there. I probably should have left a couple of empty spaces in my inventory, and you can tell that I've been playing a lot of Terraria because I keep trying to hit escape to use my inventory instead of hitting E. This is really strange. It's been a while since I played any game more than Minecraft, so that's a little bit of an adjustment to make. See, that's looking okay, a little bit checkerboardy, but we can rein it in slightly here, like so. Let's take that one out and put a path block in there, just to stop that pattern from looking too kind of diagonal. Yeah, that's not looking too bad. Not looking too bad. Let's make some other little wooden touches come in from here. I think some of the roots of the trees above would be growing down into this cave as well, so perhaps we can bring some stuff down like that, like the jungle wood can come down here. Okay, so this is now looking better. This is looking like a path well trodden, and I'm okay leaving some areas fairly stony. I think there's probably just okay, core is off. See you later, buddy. Give him a wave. I think this is all looking pretty good as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, it at least feels traversable by foot and looks like it's a bit of a path. So we'll make the zombie spawner a little bit more obvious by bringing a path over to it like this, but then this path can fork and travel in different directions around the jungle and connect up to the villager settlement over on the other side. So I'm probably going to have to clear out a little bit of foliage as well, but it encourages people to walk around a little bit and traverse my base on foot instead of just heading straight through to the temple or flying over the top and missing out on some of these little details. Like, there's some people I don't think realize that there's a zombie spawner even here because of what I did to conceal the entrance in the first place. So that's kind of my fault, let's be real, but I think we can probably make it work so that people know there's at least something to visit over here. I keep not picking up any cobblestone because I end up using silk touch tools for everything, so I'm probably going to have to make myself another diamond pick. But considering I got given a diamond block in this episode, that's not going to be too much of a problem. Let's stash the stone and the diorite in here. I don't really have any cobble laying around, so I might head back to the temple and grab some more of that. While I'm at it, in fact, this path through to the temple could use a little bit of work because it is just a corridor right now, and I had plans to have the part of this temple that's sort of inside the rock here basically be inside of a giant cave, so I might hollow out some of this at some point, but that's not necessarily a task for today, or if it is, it's going to happen much later. So yeah, the path can fork in two different directions, and I might even put like a little rock formation here, just like a little boulder or something, to divide the path a little better, because otherwise those two routes would just get a little bit intermingled with the patterns I'm doing with the path here. So yeah, maybe we'll just add in something like this to make sure people know that it's a split in the path and not just some random agglomeration of stuff. Let's maybe add one there as well, just to make that an interesting... No, you don't. Actually, that's not too great. Right, I think that'll probably have to do. So, moving on. I'm trying to use the mushroom here and there just sparingly, because while I love the fact that this also almost looks like it's got footprints in it, I think the new brown mushroom texture, once we switch over to the new textures, is actually a little bit different. So I'm not trying to lean too heavily on the footstep idea. And in fact, I might use the brown mushroom in kind of clumps, like attach it to the trees around here, because that's how mushrooms grow naturally. They tend to sort of clump around trees like this, and I think you find it used like that in the biome bundle mod as well, like we use over on Minecraft Harmony. So kind of cool to have something like this coming out instead. If I can place the blocks right, how about there? Kind of like that. Yeah, maybe it's got something to it. We'll work on that a little bit more. I think it might also be the vines. I think the vines are kind of getting in the way here, so if we move those out of the way a little bit, because vines don't grow upwards, they only go down, so that's not looking too bad. That's not looking too bad. I kind of like it. Of course, it'd be a little bit better if we could get the mushroom stem texture, which I don't know if they plan to do in the 1.13 update. I know you can get it in creative now, but I don't know if you can get it in survival. So that might be something to look into, but never mind, not to worry too much about that. Instead, let's start getting the oak planks in here, and I think around the shore of the lake, which we're probably going to create a path to here as well, it'd be best to start using stuff like the terracotta and maybe some soul sand mixed in a little bit as well to make it look like the lake is a little bit more of a fertile area. It's a little bit more kind of soggy ground, a little bit muddier, and so soul sand and brown terracotta are going to be perfect for that, as well as the darker shades of wood. So the trip to California was great. It was really relaxing, despite the fact that I was still doing a little bit of work for my day job while I was out there, and for once, I actually slept on the plane, at least on the return flight, and it was quite a late flight. It ended up being, we took off at around 8 o'clock local time, so 8 p.m, and I rarely sleep on planes. I have such a hard time going to sleep on planes just because of the noise, the background noise, the fact that the air in there is so dry. I tend to just stay up and watch movies the entire time, but I figured I was going to be absolutely exhausted if I stayed up, because we still had to take a coach back to Brighton and then a taxi from there back to our house. So it was going to take a little while, and I figured I would be best getting some sleep. So I actually did. I put a couple of podcasts on. I've been listening to Retina Link's Ear Biscuits podcast a little bit. And speaking of podcasts, by the way, you might be interested to hear that I actually got mentioned on a podcast. I actually talked about kind of at length by a guy named Joel Duggan, who does the Citadel Cafe podcast, among other things, and he was talking about my channel and saying he's a guy who's watched me since, I think, the Harmony series started coming out, and yeah, he's he's quite a fan of the way I make videos, and so he was chatting about me a little bit on his podcast, and I got in touch with him on Twitter and mentioned that it'd be kind of cool for us to get together and have a chat sometime. So keep your fingers on the pulse, my friends. Maybe subscribe to the Citadel Cafe podcast wherever podcasts are found. I listen to it on the iPhone podcasts app, so there is definitely a way of getting hold of it through iTunes and so forth, but there are a number of places in which it's distributed, not least his own website, and on Twitter, Instagram, places like that you'll find links to it. But yeah, keep your ears peeled, friends, because you might hear me appearing on one of those podcasts sometime in the near future. But anyway, managing to get some sleep on the plane was a little bit of a first for me, because it's only ever happened once before, and it was on a return flight from California, but it was one of those times when your plane gets so delayed, and it was meant to be an evening flight, but it ended up being like 2 in the morning by the time we took off, and basically they gave everybody food and then turned off the cabin lights and were like, everybody go to sleep. And we basically had no choice at that point. But yeah, that was the only other time I've ever really gotten a significant amount of sleep on a plane, instead of just, you know, staying up and watching movies and just trying to pass the time. So I was pretty happy with that in the end. I was quite happy to have gotten some sleep and be fresh and ready for you guys to make an episode today. On the way out there, I actually managed to catch up on some of the Marvel movies that had passed me by, and so I'm pretty much caught up now and ready for watching Infinity War. I think the stuff that I had missed was Spider-Man Homecoming and Guardians of the Galaxy 2, so I finally watched both of those, thoroughly enjoyed both of them. I thought Guardians 2 was not necessarily as good as the first one, but that may be, I don't know, some people liked it as much, some people liked it a little bit more, a little bit less. I think it was a decent movie. It was still, like, I think the thing about Marvel at this point is they can't really do much wrong. They seem to have gotten a formula down that is fairly successful across the board, and, you know, your opinions may differ, but there's some good stuff coming up soon. Black Panther is going to come out soon. I really want to see that. That looks incredible from what I've seen of the trailers and everything. And yeah, Infinity War itself is going to be pretty great. The Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer came out the other day, and the trailer for the Han Solo movie came out the other day, and I have opinions about that, which, yeah, I may be, I may be prompted to discuss sometime in the near future. But yeah, I don't know. I'm optimistic about it. I think, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a weird one. It's going to be a bit of a polarizing thing. But then that's what Star Wars has been lately. Have you saw the amount of people who weren't too satisfied with The Last Jedi, which I thought was a decent film for the record, but that's you know, a matter of opinion, really. And there are some people who really didn't like it. So it's going to be interesting to see what the reactions are to the Han Solo movie and anything else that they do outside of the main canon of Star Wars. We even managed to get in a couple of bike rides while we were out there because the weather was lovely. To be fair, it is California, but it's absolutely crazy how different the weather is compared to the UK. It was I think something like 78 degrees Fahrenheit when we left, which is, you know, close to the mid-20s Celsius for those of you guys who use the metric system like I do. And when we got back here, it was back to the UK, it was like 4 degrees. Not Fahrenheit, it was about 36 or something degrees Fahrenheit. It was pretty cold. So yeah, as soon as you got off the plane, you felt it. But yeah, when we were out there, we managed to go for a couple of bike rides. My father-in-law is basically a road cycling instructor. He's retired, but he kind of does that in his spare time to make a little bit of cash on the side, and he's good. He's really good at it. He's 65, and you would not guess it from how fast he rides. He's a bit of a machine, and he's like, because they're out in California and the weather is so good, he can ride pretty regularly. So he does like 30 to 40 miles basically as often as he can, almost every day. And if he's not out on the roads because it's too cold or too wet or something, then he's on the cycle trainer in the garage, you know. So he's pretty keen on it. And we managed to go out for a couple of trips over there, and I'm looking forward to cycling a little bit more once the weather in the UK kind of calms down a little bit. Mostly it's just too cold and too wet to go right now, because you don't really want to ride in wet conditions if you've got a performance bike. And mine's all right. Mine's a cyclocross bike, so it tends to be a little bit more rough and ready. But my wife has a road bike that he actually helped us import from the US, because he is the king, apparently, of getting really good deals on road bikes, just like from buying them from people in the local area who sell them on Craigslist. So we managed to get a little bit of that done, but mostly I was just really happy that we could go outside in general. Like, it's a miracle in February just being able to sit outdoors and not be completely frozen as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, we had a lot of fun hanging out just in the back garden, just chatting and generally being a little bit more chill. But while I was there, I was still thinking a little bit about what I want to do with my YouTube channel, some stuff I want to tackle now that 2018 is in full swing. And one of the things I really want to do, and people have been asking me about it for a little while, is bring back one-chunk tutorials. They've kind of fallen off the radar a little bit because I was working on a couple of designs for a while that just haven't really gone anywhere. Like, I've drafted a couple of things. The one I'm stuck on right now is I wanted to design a kind of like ice palace sort of thing, and that's really difficult to do in a single chunk, because when you're building with ice, you have to build stuff big, otherwise it doesn't really look all that good. It doesn't look particularly impressive because of the way ice works. Like, when you're looking at a block of ice, it doesn't show you ice blocks behind it. Like, it treats everything as one solid block, which is really weird. It's kind of difficult to describe if you're not actually looking at it. But it doesn't lend itself particularly well to structure building, and so I kind of had to compromise by using a bunch of different blocks which don't necessarily fit the palette all that well. So yeah, I kind of got stuck on it for a little while, and basically I'm resolving to leave that behind a little bit and basically go back to what I was doing before. I was doing some stuff inspired by different biomes, but now I think I'm probably just going to go back to building whatever inspiration strikes me that week and go back to doing them on a weekly basis and just coming up with whatever. And hopefully you guys are excited about that, because I really want to get back into doing it. It's been too long since I put out a decent tutorial, so it's time to get back into doing those. I have to say, I like what we've got going on here. It's taking a little while. It's taking a little while. It's slow progress, but it's it's really tying the area together. This is perfect for what I wanted, actually, because if we take a look at this from higher up a little bit, you can kind of see the path winds and forks around. There are different spots where it's not even necessarily going to two different places. Like, there's a bit here that goes off towards the lake, but then once you come around this tree, basically you've got one path going left, one path going right. They're going to join up on the other side of this tree. It's basically just to get around this little clump of natural stuff over here, but they're both going to end up in the same place and carry on through the jungle. But just that winding path is definitely going to give this area a really nice feel. So I'm going to keep doing this. I'm probably going to quit waffling for now and do the rest of this off camera, maybe get as far as the village settlement over there around the side of this lake, and then give you guys a progress update. So I'll be back in just a second. Welcome back, folks. The path is in, and I am pretty happy with this. I think it came together really, really well. Just going to take a brief stroll through the jungle without the HUD on so you guys can see the full effect of the jungle path. I really like it. I like the little mushrooms on the trees here and there. I haven't gone crazy with those. I've just kind of popped them down in a couple of places, and they work out pretty great. You can choose your path. You can pick a path through this jungle, and all in all, I think the effect is pretty great. The path is a little bit kind of crazy paving. It gets very kind of material heavy in some spots, but I think that's good. I think that kind of makes the path a lot more clear. It gives you a clear path through the jungle. You get to this little lake out the back here, which I kind of terraformed a little bit using soul sand and some brown terracotta at the bottom, like so. Building that up in layers was a lot of fun. And then once you walk over this little hill over here, you end up at the villager settlement, and you can see the lake from a completely different angle. And I like that. I thought that was really good. I think it definitely ties the area together in a way that it didn't really have before. And even from the air, you can't quite see it through the trees, but you can see a little hint of something there that makes it look like it's a little bit more of a well-trodden path, just kind of going around there towards the shipwreck and everything. So I'm pretty happy with that, and thank you to MythicalSausage, Awoogah, and ZloYxp for providing the materials for that and for the prank. I'm sure I'll find a way of getting you guys back at some point, but that's going to be it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching it Decidedly Vanilla. It's great to be back, and I hope you had a good time with this video. Leave a like on the episode if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.